Evening, we're into our soap hour from 7 tonight with Emmerdale, then Corrie's at 7:30. Now though, the country's top news and sports stories on your altogether informative STV.
Good evening. Detectives in Glasgow are investigating after a prostitute was found walking along the M8 after her arm was hacked off by a man with a sword. The 29-year-old was discovered late last night by a party of wedding guests travelling in a bus near Paisley. They gave her first aid and raised the alarm. Her arm was found nearby. The woman is now in a serious condition in the city's Royal Infirmary. The Chancellor Gordon Brown says he wasn't involved in plots to overthrow Tony Blair despite meeting with a rebel Labour MP at his Fife home. The revelation comes as a new opinion poll suggests more Scots now want independence than want to remain part of the UK. Ronald Leask reports.
Both Tony Blair and Gordon Brown are keen to draw a line under the bloodletting of the past week. Today, the Prime Minister was in the Middle East trying to rekindle the peace process, whilst the Chancellor was busy insisting that he wasn't behind efforts to destabilise Mr Blair, despite today's revelation that he was visited at his home in Fife by rebel Labour Minister Tom Watson on Monday, the day before a letter signed by Mr Watson and more than a dozen other Labour MPs was sent to Tony Blair demanding he resign.
If anybody had asked me about the contents of that letter, I would have said it was completely ill-advised. And the reason is this. Some people want to tell Tony Blair when he should finally make the decision that he has said he will make about when he wishes to go.
And you're said to be one of those people?
No, I'm not actually. I've always said to Tony, and I think this should be clear, and it was made clear on many occasions when I've talked to Tony, the decision is for him.
Gordon Brown today described Tony Blair as the most successful Labour Prime Minister of all time and insisted loyal Blairites like John Reid could join a Brown cabinet. He even suggested Charles Clarke could serve under him, despite the former Home Secretary's description of the Chancellor as a deluded control freak with psychological issues. All of this is of course a gift to the opposition. An opinion poll out today shows the SNP's support to be up 10% and level with Labour, whilst the second poll shows more Scots now favour independence than remaining part of the UK.
Well, I think people are scunnered with Labour south of the border and north of the border. It's not just about Tony Blair, it's about the fact that they failed to deliver on their promises and people think it's time for a change.
Labour will hope to regain the political initiative this week as the TUC conference is held, but with the unions keen to flex their muscles over a halt to private sector involvement in public services, it could be yet another difficult week for both Gordon Brown and Tony Blair. Ronald Leask, Scotland Today.
Meanwhile, police are investigating a threat by a Scottish terrorist group to poison the water supply in England. An email claiming to be from the Scottish National Liberation Army was sent to the offices of a Sunday newspaper in Glasgow. The organisation has carried out previous attacks, including a letter bomb campaign in the 1990s. Plans to raise the legal age for buying cigarettes in Scotland to 18 are likely to be unveiled soon by ministers. A team of experts is expected to propose the policy in a report to the Scottish Executive. New legislation is due to be announced containing the policy, which follows the implementation of Scotland's ban on smoking in public places last March. Lung cancer patients in Scotland are 6 times more likely to get access to a new drug than those living in the rest of the UK. Tarceva is a pill that can be taken at home, which means fewer hospital visits for patients. Lung cancer is the #1 cancer killer in Scotland, but this new drug offers some hope to sufferers.
The drug has been shown to relieve the symptoms of non-small cell lung cancer, which include breathlessness, pain in the chest, very bad cough, and it's given people really a better quality of life. Fatigue, tiredness, that kind of thing is also a major issue in someone who has advanced cancer, and this drug has been shown to help that.
On to some football news now, and 3 second-half goals earned Hibernian in a away victory against Dundee United this afternoon. Chris Killen punished some poor defending to open the scoring 7 minutes after the restart. Then substitute Dean Shields kept his cool to lob Derek Stilley for the second, before Ivan Sproul rounded off the scoring in the final minute to seal all 3 points for the visitors. And that's all from your Scottish newsroom for now. We're back tomorrow morning from 5:25. From all of us on the weekend team, goodbye.
A minute's silence has been observed at RAF Kinloss by colleagues of the 12 servicemen killed in the Nimrod crash in Afghanistan.
Sergeant Ben Knight, or Tapper as he was known to his friends, was a loving son, brother, fiance, uncle, nephew, cousin and friend.
The aftermath of the suicide bomb that claimed the life of Private Craig O'Donnell.
The regiment's flag here at its home at Stirling Castle is at half-mast as a mark of respect.
This is our last goodbye. I hate to feel the love between us down, but it's over. Just hear this and then I'll go. You gave.
Former confidant and friend turned arch-rival Gordon Brown was in Scotland. He wants Blair's job big time, but he was a model of diplomacy.
It is for him to make the decision. I said also to him, and I make clear again today, that I will support him in the decisions he makes.
Must I dream and know?
The executive says these figures show we're getting safer in our homes and on the streets. The reaction from the opposition proves that once again crime will be a big issue at next year's elections.
It would be grossly complacent of me to say that this is the answer and they will avoid any future tragedy. All I can say is that we are devoting all our energies, all our professional expertise across the constituent agencies to minimise the risk to young people, to children and to vulnerable adults in our area.
The songs themselves are no indication of sectarianism, and I think we have to clarify just exactly what the Scottish Executive means by sectarian behaviour.
Well, when a child goes missing, it's a race against time for the authorities. Now, Lothian and Borders Police has become the first force in Scotland to launch a new alert system using mobile phones and email, making local people their eyes and ears out on the streets.
A good example is bogus workmen. We had an incident yesterday whereby we could have sent messages out within minutes to all the residents of that area had they been registered.
Change your outlook with Flybe, sponsors of Scottish Weather.
The earlier satellite image shows a large mass of cloud approaching Scotland from the Atlantic. Mostly cloudy or misty in the west of the country tonight, with rain across the Hebrides, while on the mainland showers will fizzle out, dry with increasing clear spells to the east. Locally, heavy rain will spread from the northwest tomorrow morning to affect western coasts. However, it will remain dry and bright in central and eastern parts. Through the afternoon, rain will ease in the northwest, but the west coast will experience periods of rain. The central belt will be mostly dry with hazy sunshine in the east. Looking now at the fly-through for the afternoon, and we see the Western Isles will be overcast and showery with moderate southwesterly winds. As we head over Kintyre and Arran, cloud builds and showers turn to spells of rain. Onto the Clyde coast and over Strathclyde, cloud starts to break and occasional sunny spells can be expected along with pleasantly warm temperatures. As we fly over the central belt towards the Firth of Forth in the east, conditions become increasingly fine and the cloud breaks further to allow periods of hazy sunshine. Temperatures will be at the highest in the Lothians, peaking at 21 degrees Celsius. Focusing now on Arran, where conditions won't be so good for the afternoon with overcast skies and periods of rain expected. Onto the Ayrshire coast, conditions will become brighter and drier with highs of 19 degrees. A dry and bright start on Tuesday in the east, but rain and showers will soon move in from the west. Unsettled and breezy on Wednesday with rain affecting most places. Feeling cooler on Thursday with fresh winds and showers in the west, and unsettled again on Friday and also windy, especially in the west.
Change your outlook with Flybe, sponsors of Scottish Weather.
Across the country, you're watching STV, where now at 6:40, it's the ITV Weekend News.
It wasn't me. Gordon Brown denies his role in the plot to oust the Prime Minister. On his tour of the Middle East, Tony Blair himself backed the Chancellor, saying he was satisfied Gordon Brown had played no part in plans to get him out of office. Also tonight, a mother's anger. Her teenage son was gunned down in Manchester. Tonight, Jessie James's mother tells ITV News the killing has to stop.
People are tired of the bloodbath around here. We are tired of the pain. Mothers are aching. Families are being destroyed.
9/11's unsung hero, the remarkable story of the former Marine whose rescue effort only came to light in a movie. And he's to make his final pit stop after winning the Italian Grand Prix. Schumacher says he's quitting at the end of the season. Good evening. Gordon Brown issued a firm rebuttal today to claims he was the mastermind behind the coup to unseat the Prime Minister. On a tour of the Middle East, Mr. Blair himself tried to quell the relentless mutterings, saying he was satisfied the Chancellor had played no role in the plans. But will it stop the whisperings? It seems not. Even today, more explosive details about the alleged plans to oust the Prime Minister have emerged. In a moment, we'll speak to Paul Larsman at 11 Downing Street about those. But first, let's join our political editor, Tom Bradby, who's with Mr. Blair in Jerusalem. Tom.
Tony Blair was dealing with the complex and weighty issues of the Middle East here today, but somewhere in there he had a pretty simple message for his critics back home, and it was this: you know, there are more important things in life than who's going to be the next leader of the Labour Party. Tony Blair's Middle East policy has been part of his problem this summer, so it's perhaps no surprise that he's come here to find a solution. A resolution of this region's immense troubles would be a worthy end in itself, a great finale to 10 years in power and, of course, a legacy to be proud of. No wonder, then, he made it clear he'd be back again as Prime Minister.
I hope I am able to return to this region again, and so far as I'm concerned, this issue, which I believe passionately in, will be as important as any other priority for me in the time that remains for me in office.
Mr. Blair met the families of kidnapped Israeli soldiers, but even as he did so, conversation here had turned to Gordon Brown back home in Scotland. Despite reports one of the rebels had visited his home before the coup, he insisted his hands were clean.
There was a fatal letter. Did you know anything about the letter?
No, there were rumours, of course, about all sorts of things happening during the course of that week. If anybody had asked me about the contents of that letter, I would have said it was completely ill-advised. And the reason is this. Some people want to tell Tony Blair when he should finally make the decision that he has said he will make about when he wishes to go.
And you're said to be one of those people.
No, I'm not actually. I've always said to Tony, and I think this should be clear, and it was made clear on many occasions when I've talked to Tony, the decision is for him.
So, did Mr. Blair accept those assurances?
Of course, but I do want to say that I think it honestly is inappropriate. I mean, you'll have chances to ask me questions about this many, many times, but I really want to concentrate on Palestine today, but of course I accept the assurances that have been given.
Downing Street always billed this trip as a chance to restart the peace process, but Tony Blair's promise today to come back here again as Prime Minister was a none too subtle message to his critics. There's a lot that needs to be done, he seemed to be saying. What needs to be done is very important. I'm the man best placed to do it, so back off. Tony Blair has clearly found it belittling to come to this historic land and have to field questions on the squalid infighting back home. Maybe it does suddenly feel small-minded and parochial, but it is the lot of a Prime Minister whose power and authority are on the wane. Tom Bradby, ITV News in Jerusalem.
Well, here, more intricate details about the alleged plot to unseat Tony Blair have emerged. It's claimed Tom Watson, one of the reported architects behind the coup, visited Gordon Brown the day before he sent a letter calling on the Prime Minister to step down. Paul Larsman has the details.
Tom Watson was the only minister to sign the fateful letter calling on Tony Blair to quit. Now it turns out he met Gordon Brown the day before he added his name, inevitably fueling suspicions that despite his denials, Mr. Brown was behind the attempted coup. Mr. Watson admits he did visit Mr. Brown at his home in Fife, but he insists that at no time did they discuss the letter. In fact, he was holidaying nearby and had simply dropped in with a gift for Fraser, the Chancellor's new baby boy. Whether plotting or not, many feel Mr. Brown has been seriously damaged.
I think the big question is, why did it take almost 7 days for him to come and help the Prime Minister, who was under attack with people trying to shoehorn him out of Downing Street? No amount of fine words 7 days later will abate the questions which voters must be asking.
Senior Labour figures accept that turbulent times may lie ahead.
The question of the timing of when the Prime Minister will choose to go can continue to be discussed. I think the question of who will be the future leadership, inevitably people will be thinking about that. But I think fundamentally we're back on track. People have kind of looked over the edge of the precipice last week and have pulled back.
Of course, the Tories would have liked Labour to jump into the abyss. As it is, they're happy to throw stones from the sidelines.
We have our soldiers fighting and dying in Afghanistan. We have a terrible situation in Iraq. We have 20,000 redundancies happening in the health service at home. How many minutes this week have these squabbling ministers spent on these real issues? And that is the real indictment of this government now.
Mr. Brown and Mr. Blair called a truce last Thursday. But like many ceasefires, it's proving fragile and extremely difficult to enforce.
OK, let's get more now from Paul in Downing Street and in a moment from our political editor Tom Bradby in Jerusalem. Paul, was there any let-up for Gordon Brown today?
No, not really. I mean, yesterday we heard Charles Clarke describe him as a deluded control freak, and today the reports that no fewer than 10 cabinet ministers are trying their very hardest to find an anyone but Gordon candidate once the contest actually gets underway. And another report says that Tony Blair will not endorse Gordon Brown as his chosen successor when it finally happens. I think Mr. Brown has definitely been wounded by the week's events, but of course he still remains a very strong contender.
Paul, thank you. And Tom, a dreadful week for the Prime Minister. Has it ended better than it began?
I think it has. He's here. You've seen what he's done today. He's trying to sort of say that he's got plenty to do and he's going to get on with it. He was heavily criticised for his policy in the Middle East. By coming and trying to get the peace process restarted, he has a double potential benefit, can soothe, calm the waters in his party on that subject, and of course can give himself a purpose in office. It's very unseemly to bundle someone out of office too quickly when they're in the midst of trying to sort out something as important as the Middle East. So yes, Tempting to be cynical about it, of course, but I don't doubt that he feels very passionately about it, and it's certainly for the moment clever politics. I think the man still in real problems this weekend, as you've heard, is Gordon Brown. I think that business about Tom Watson is pretty damaging. Just look at those comments by Charles Clarke referring to him as psychologically flawed and all the rest of it. I mean, the Tories must be just jumping up and down with joy at the moment. That is the truth of it. So I think Brown in particular, still the front runner, but certainly facing a very difficult week.
Tom, thank you. To other news now. The mother of the 15-year-old gunned down in Manchester this weekend said today she was tired of the bloodbath around here. In an exclusive interview with ITV News, Jessie James's mum said her son was loved by everyone. He was killed in the Moss Side area of the city in the early hours of yesterday morning. Elaine Wilcox is there now with the latest. Elaine.
Well, a war zone is how Jessie's family have described these streets where young gangs carry pistols and submachine guns for fun. Jessie's mother told me she's been asking to move for 2 years to protect her family, and now she's lost her youngest son.
People are tired of the bloodbath around here. We are tired of the pain. Mothers are aching. Families are being destroyed.
Bravely speaking to ITV News for the first time, Jessie James' mother said her son had never been involved in gangs and shunned violence. Jessie was shot 3 times. Detectives believe he was simply an innocent victim, a tragic case of mistaken identity.
My son left home, and I believe that despite of the fact that I know what the area is like, but I didn't expect this to happen. Not to Jessie.
Manchester's Moss Side has seen an upsurge in violence in recent months. Jessie was gunned down in Raby Street. Just 2 months earlier, 45-year-old Ernest Gifford was killed at home on the same road as his partner and daughters cowered in the next room. Great Western Street has seen gang gun battles all summer. Last month, 3 people were shot nearby. And on Pepper Hill Road, teenage gunmen sprayed homes with bullets. Politicians here admit more needs to be done to stop the guns coming into Moss Side.
Guns on the streets of Moss Side won't only stay on the streets of Moss Side unless we're controlling it here. It's everybody's problem, and everybody's got to become part of the solution.
How long are they going to wait? Take action now. Because around here will be a sea of blood.
The police have appealed directly to the gangs to stop the killings, but many fear there'll be further bloodshed. Elaine Wilcox, ITV News, Moss Side.
Some of today's other stories now. Nearly 100 Taliban rebels have been killed in a battle with NATO troops in southern Afghanistan. Backed by air support, the militants were attacked in 2 areas, Kandahar. There are no reports of casualties among NATO and Afghan forces. Hundreds of opposition activists have marched through Dhaka in Bangladesh in a day-long strike. The protesters were demonstrating against police brutality and calling for widespread electoral reform. On September the 11th, 5 years ago, Jason Thomas went beyond the call of duty. He'd left the US Marines a year earlier, but when he heard about the attacks on the Twin Towers, he put on his uniform and headed to Manhattan to help with the rescue effort. Until a few weeks ago, he had kept his heroic act secret. That was until he saw a trailer for a new film which captured his efforts. Tim Hewitt has the story on the eve of 9/11.
For nearly 5 years, Jason Thomas remained one of the unknown and unsung heroes of 9/11. It took a new Hollywood blockbuster, Oliver Stone's World Trade Center, to tempt him out of anonymity. The film portrays 2 Marines who rescued 2 police officers trapped in the rubble.
Don't leave us. We've been here a long time.
We're not leaving you, buddy. We're Marines. You are our mission.
Well, I knew there was only 2 Marines there. It wasn't, in uniform. And one of them had to be myself.
Jason Thomas had actually left the Marines, but when he heard about the Twin Towers, he put on his old uniform and headed for Manhattan to help. Amazingly, amid the chaos, he met another US Marine, and together they repeatedly entered the ruins of the buildings to search for survivors.
I felt compelled. I felt it was personal. I took it personal. I took the attack personal. It's my city, And I felt, you know, that I should do something. 5 years, I did keep it inside. I really didn't want to discuss the events that took place. Didn't want to speak to anyone at all. But, you know, when you're all alone, it really comes back and haunts you in a worse way. And I feel that, you know, it is great to talk about it now.
Jason Thomas insists he's no hero. Tomorrow, on the 5th anniversary, he will be among the millions paying tribute to those who lost their lives. Tim Hewitt, ITV News.
On to all the sport now, and he's arguably the greatest motor racing driver of all time. Michael Schumacher has already won 7 world titles. He might yet win an 8th. But after taking the checkered flag in the Italian Grand Prix today, Schumacher declared he was retiring at the end of the season. Rob Murphy reports.
Schumacher was as focused as ever before his final race at Monza, before he broke his own world record again. Formula One's biggest name started not in pole position, but in 2nd place. When leader Kimi Raikkonen took an early pit stop, Schumacher took advantage. This was to be his 90th Grand Prix victory. He's broken every record in Formula One. The 7 championships, a testament to a man who's dominated this sport. And as he took the checkered flag, the Italian crowd showed their appreciation for the man who revitalised Ferrari.
Schumacher wins the Italian Grand Prix.
Then came the announcement, the worst kept secret in Formula One.
At the end of this year, I've decided together with the team that I'm going to retire from racing. It has been an exceptional, really exceptional time. What motorsport in more than 30 years has given to me. I really loved every single moment of the good and the bad ones.
Schumacher's victory here brings him to within 2 points of current champion Fernando Alonso. The German is so close to giving his fans a fairy tale ending to his legendary career with an 8th world title. Robert Murphy, ITV News.
A little earlier, I spoke to ITV Sports' Martin Brundle from the pit lane in Monza. Martin was Schumacher's Formula One teammate from 1992 to 1996. I began by asking him for his personal memories.
Well, he's very fast. He's a tough teammate to have because he's so good, and he was always fit and very acrobatic behind the wheel. Strong in the head inside the car and outside, and he galvanised the whole team around him, so it made him difficult to be with as a teammate. Some of his tactics on the track have been a bit questionable, but his results very much speak for themselves.
Yeah, how will others remember him? Because, as you say, he did have his controversial moments.
Well, I think you have to admire. I mean, I'm in awe of his driving skill and what he's achieved with 7 world championships. And today, here at Monza, he's put himself in with a great chance of an 8th world championship. The paddock is absolutely full of emotion and energy here because Michael gave himself the perfect platform to announce that retirement by winning the race in a very good style. I can't help but think he should be carrying on. He's clearly got the speed and the fitness, but it's better maybe to stop a year too early than a year too late. Many people in the paddock are sad to see him go, others not so unhappy. He has been controversial from time to time, but we've got a lot of great young drivers coming along to fill his shoes.
So we have to therefore look to his legacy. How does he compare to the other racing greats?
Well, we never thought Senna's pole position record would be beaten. Of course, Michael did. He tops just about every league table you can create for Grand Prix racing. I think Senna was the most gifted driver of all time and a very emotionally driven man. But Schumacher, I think, has been a good all-rounder, brilliant in terms of the way he has applied himself and kept his head in difficult conditions. It's tough to compare different generations. I think Fangio would be right up there too, Clark, Stewart, Moss, of course. But Michael Schumacher is right amongst them as one of the greats of all time.
Martin, many thanks. Football now, and all eyes were on West Ham's new Argentinian duo as they took on Aston Villa at Upton Park. But it was Bobby Zamora who earned the Hammers a point. Guy McCree watched the action.
West Ham's new arrivals had to settle for a place on the bench against Aston Villa, but it was the visitors who settled more quickly. Liam Ridgewell on target from a corner.
It's forced over, and Liam Ridgewell, one-time West Ham junior, scores against his old club.
Marlon Harewood then wasted a good chance to equalise for West Ham before Juan Pablo Angel came close to doubling Villa's lead. An improved West Ham equalised soon after half-time thanks to Bobby Zamora's 5th goal of the season. But Villa's Stilian Petrov then came desperately close to putting them back in front, before one of West Ham's new boys, Carlos Tevez, was handed his chance to shine. He almost had an immediate impact. But Villa held on, both sides forced to settle for the draw. Guy McCree, ITV News.
Hibernian are up to 6th in the Scottish Premier League after winning at Dundee United this afternoon. They took the lead shortly after half-time thanks to Chris Killen's strike, and after Dean Shields scored the second, Van Sproul sealed a 3-0 victory for Hibs. England's cricketers have drawn their one-day series against Pakistan after winning today's final match in Birmingham. Despite restricting Pakistan to just 154, England made hard work of reaching their target, losing 7 wickets before Mike Hardy hit the winning runs with just under 20 overs to spare. In tennis, and Maria Sharapova is celebrating this evening after winning the US Open title in New York. The Russian teenager beat Belgium's Justine Henin-Hardenne in straight sets, 6-4, 6-4 at Flushing Meadows. It's her 2nd Grand Slam title, adding to her Wimbledon victory of 2 years ago.
I'm still pretty shocked. I'm thrilled that I got to experience another Grand Slam win, and that it's a different Grand Slam, and the vibe is a little bit different. I mean, there's definitely nothing like winning your first major, but to win your second is also a it's kind of like the cherry on the cake.
And later on this evening, Roger Federer will play Andy Roddick in the men's final. That is Sunday night's evening news. Our next update is just after 11 o'clock tonight. Bye-bye.
ITV National Weather, sponsored by Powergen.
Well, did it work? What do you think, Donut?
Hello again, good evening. It really has been a fantastic end to the weekend across many parts of the UK, and we're going to see some more sunshine for some tomorrow, although slowly changing conditions on the way. So looking ahead to tomorrow itself, the new week starts with plenty of sunshine across the bulk of England, Wales and eastern parts of Scotland, though as we move into the afternoon we could see a few thundery showers cropping up in places particularly towards the south and out towards the northwest. Under this shaded area here, a fair amount of cloud and rain. Some of that rain could be fairly heavy in places, and under those fairly disappointing conditions, some disappointing temperatures to match, just around 29 Celsius. Certainly the warmest part of the country tomorrow will be down towards the south and east. 29 Celsius is our expected high for some tomorrow. That's 84 in Fahrenheit. Have a very good evening. I'll catch up with you later. Bye-bye.
Positive energy from Powergen.